Hello everyone, welcome back to a lovely Saturday afternoon in central London. Today we are filming a belting podcast with the founder of Yeezy Mafia, the founder of Hype Analyzer, the founder of Dropout, a sneaker reselling store. He's an absolute GOAT. He has a massive impact on our whole reselling life. And when we first started reselling, Yeezy Mafia was basically a goated media outlet. They did some insane things. They had some insane news in the time. And we're going to film a podcast with Kola now. And it's going to be a banger. I'm extremely excited to do it. And yeah, let's do this.
So everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Crep Chief podcast. Today we're back with serial entrepreneur, founder of Yeezy Mafia, Hype Analyzer and Dropout, Kola Tytler. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast, mate. And I think a good way to kick this off will be, tell us a bit about yourself, what you're doing now, how old are you, and what's going on in your life at the minute.
Well, thank you so much for the invite for a start. As you mentioned, indeed, I've had a few past ventures, in the sneaker business. Although obviously it's not really all I do, but certainly it's been a big part of my life. Basically, to give a little bit of an overview of my history and my background. So I was born in London to Nigerian parents, and then we actually moved down to Italy in a place near Rome where I grew up. I stayed there until I was about 19, and then I effectively moved to the UK to study at university. I went to King's College London. I studied medicine. And that obviously took a long while. During the course of my studies, basically I was working, primarily to sustain myself, but also with my first, sort of salaries and so on. I decided to cultivate my great lost love, which was for sneakers and streetwear. I remember in particular, I went to New York, me and my sister, just for a holiday in I think it was early 2015. And then it was basically, I think, beginning of February and so on. By that time, I already had, obviously, the interest for sneakers had been with me for a long time, but I wasn't really into the sort of buy them and flip them and so on. But then during that holiday, being in Manhattan and in Soho in particular, I remember passing in front of this Adidas store. It's basically, one of the biggest flagships for Adidas in the world. And the whole shop window was blacked out, and there was just one sneaker, just having the left side of the Yeezy Boost 750, which was coming out on that weekend, on the All-Star weekend. And that kind of really fostered my interest into, Adidas is literally taking out their whole shop window just for one shoe. And then I started kind of reading more into that, and obviously into the hype of, for that shoe, which was to be released in very, very limited quantity. Because what sort of didn't quite make sense for me is how Adidas was focusing their branding on one shoe that they were going to sell very small amounts of. Reading around that, and then I think shortly after, Kanye kind of released a new song. It's called All Day, and I think it premiered in London. And it was bragging about how his shoes will go on the secondary market for 15, 20 grand. So from that, basically I did more and more research. In the June of the same year, the first low version of Adidas shoe came out. The 350 Turtle Dove. I signed up to only one raffle and I won.
Wow.
Literally, I remember getting this phone call, and then basically, I will never reply to numbers that I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I got this missed phone call, and then I googled the number and I see, it's the Adidas flagship. Because back in the days, literally, they would call you if you won the raffle. So I said it was the Adidas store. I rang them back, and I was like, okay, fine. And the answer, the store manager said, oh, look, you've been amongst the selected individuals. Come down on the 27th. So I went down. I remember, I think there was this recap from Highs Nobody of that day.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe 25, 30 people that won, that's it. And I'm at the front of the queue before the store opened. Yeah. And I just asked the store manager, I think there's a lot of cameras for just being, 25 people picking up a shoe. I was like, is Kanye going to be here? And she's like, oh, yes. And, and everyone was like, she's just joking, whatever. Yeah. And then, we pick up the shoe. I pick up the shoe, and then they're like, make sure you hang around. So, we all hang around, and Kanye turns up. So Kanye signed all the boxes of all the shoes, takes one picture, which obviously goes viral. And from that, I was basically my interest for the flipping side skyrocketed. I flipped my pair from that day, to be fair.
Do you remember what you sold them for?
I think about 700 pounds, more or less. But it's pretty
Sound
good
as well.
for one day, not even one morning of work, let's call it.
Yeah.
But then really, moving forward, I actually bought it back. So I bought back the signed box pair.
Wow.
Your exact pair?
No, not that pair. I bought another pair that was signed on the same day.
Yeah.
It wasn't my one; it was a different one. Just because I think it kind of became sort of emotional attachment to me.
100%.
Yeah.
How much did you buy it back for?
I bought it back for like 600. So it was
That's not
still
too
actually a
bad.
good deal
Yeah.
because it was used. So my one I had sold was new, and I bought it back used.
And there's only like 130 to buy back
The
then,
retail
wasn't it?
was I think 150. I think it was
150.
on the very first drop. Yes.
Yeah.
So that kind of sort of really gave my interest, in that world. I continued to study in the meantime, and then
What was you studying again?
medicine.
Medicine.
So I still practice as a doctor today,
Okay.
which is how I spend basically my sort of majority of my time in London.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, back in the day, basically, sort of alternating my studying for the course with sort of learning, more and more about the resale industry. And I think I was quite fascinated by how there was sort of no regulation at all.
Yeah.
So, you will literally, first of all, there was no real regulation around, buying and flipping for a start.
Yeah.
And then at the time, stores used to do raffles for the most part. But, literally you could sign up, get all your friends to sign up. There was nothing to prohibit that. Shortly after, the store started doing online sign-ups.
Yeah.
And even then, there was, again, sort of, you could sign up 100 times. No one would say anything. And
It was
obviously,
so easy back then, wasn't it?
yeah, it was very easy. And then, as I said, there was like most people that were into that segment and interested into that. Either they were from a background where they didn't really have a lot of knowledge of mathematics or statistics or really working out the financials behind it, or the stats behind it. Whilst actually, I did, which was probably a huge advantage that I had, and
100%.
I started pulling into it people that had, I had some very good friends that were into marketing, into engineering, which were kind of unrelated. And then, from that, really kind of really snowballed, and became a lot bigger. On the side, in the same period, basically, I met a good friend of mine online, which basically had started this group of people that were interested in Yeezys, a group called Yeezy Mafia. And at the time, actually, Yeezy Mafia, when I met him, was already existing. But what it was a community of individuals where they were just interested in Yeezys.
Yeah.
And it was literally like 10 people. That's it.
Wow.
So before there were some forums, like there was Kanye Today, Nike Talk. There were like big online forums.
On Facebook, was that?
No, there were like Kanye Today was his own website and Nike Talk was his own website.
Yeah.
On Facebook, there was this group. It was called, I think, Sneakerhead UK.
Yeah, that's right. I
And
think
then,
Karen Lamb, was it? And
sorry?
was it Karen Lamb who owned that?
It was Vivian Frank for the most part.
as well.
And then Carwin did a merch with him.
Yeah.
But Vivian was like the mind
main
behind
one.
that. So, among those things, basically, that's why you will keep informed.
Yeah.
But it was all quite vague. So Yeezy Mafia actually was like a very close-knit community where, we would sort of share information with each other. And I had some good friends. I'd met some good friends outside of the underground scene and more into the retail scene. So, they had the shops, they were working for Adidas. And that meant actually we will get information that was almost first-hand and it was good information.
Yeah.
So I remember when, me and this friend were basically discussing and I was like, you know what, like, I think we should share the information that we have outside of the community to try and gather more people to want to join the community.
Yep.
And that will basically put us in a position to actually market this and, sort of monetize the system.
Yeah.
So we did that. So we started sharing information.
You were like the first people to really do that in the whole industry.
We weren't really the first, to be fair, because like
To that
Sneakerhead
level.
UK was doing it.
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
were the first one to be extremely accurate.
Yeah.
And all our information was like, you just did not find it anywhere else.
Yeah, yeah.
So we had, I think one that was very good was when, just early 2016, Adidas was going to launch the Confirmed app in Europe.
Yeah.
And we were the first ones to say it. And I think like some big blogs, sort of reached out to us like, oh, like what's your sources, whatever. We wouldn't release the sources. And then, we said, okay, look, Adidas is gonna release the Confirmed app in this city and on this day, and it's gonna work like this because, they made some changes. And then, a week passes and Adidas announces that exactly as we said it. And then everyone was like, okay, those guys really know what they're talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
So people started reaching out to us. We did some interviews, some written, some, video. And then from there, we started sort of posting more and more. And the accuracy of our information became a lot even more precise.
Yeah.
Because we had more sources by then. And then we had, we were even gambling a little bit more because we started learning the patterns. So sometimes we had information, sometimes we actually had the patterns. So we were like, okay, we know that they're going to announce the shoe 9 days before and it's going to be at this time.
Yeah.
So, we took gambles like 2 minutes before Adidas tweeted, we tweeted. And then Adidas they couldn't delete anymore. They couldn't delete anymore because they had it scheduled. And I remember I think there was the release of the kids Yeezys. And it was like basically we tweeted like the new emojis that Apple had released with the kids of different sort of skin color.
I actually remember that tweet.
So we tweeted that, and then 2 minutes later Adidas tweeted that, which is the same. So everyone was like, no, there must be insiders, whatever. But really, it was just chance.
Just a big gamble.
Literally, it was a huge gamble, and he was right. And then from that, we sort of said, okay, now is the time, that we can really monetize. So we started saying, look, you can. We started doing the membership thing where people could join, but literally we will drop like 5 membership, and at one specific time, and our website will go crazy. Literally we could see the website will crash. Like tens of thousands of people were in it, and then we said, okay, look, if you wanna join, it's gonna cost like 50,000 or something stupid like that, and we were like. That's basically how we're gonna fuel the exclusivity of the group. And how we're gonna want people to, really want to be part of this. And from that, I think really, we kind of generated a new industry because I think the whole cook group thing, like, again, it was existing, but it was nothing like it's today.
No.
And even, Yeezy Mafia basically stopped being a cook group, to be fair. But that's still,
So how long did it last for, being like this cook group kind of?
That lasted, it kind of sort of went fading. And the reason why it went fading is because we were little, it was a small amount of us. And all of us started diversifying. Like, I opened up my own store. So like, I kind of, didn't really bother no more. The major other guy, like, he started venturing into a number of other businesses. And then all the big guys, like some of the guys, basically invested their profits in even from crypto to, whatever, someone, some of the guys.
They made a lot of money off crypto then. I bet they made a lot of money off crypto.
Yeah, some people did, to be fair. Some people did. I think, I don't know exactly what everyone does now, but I know that for a fact, most people there, they did well in other industries. And I think because everyone kind of foresaw that, that was nice and cool, but really, once you've understood some principles, you can apply them to the wider business industry, and you can just do something else.
100%.
Which is basically what I did myself. I basically said, okay, I understand this industry. The best thing for me is like do something where I can actually give my name on it, and we don't have to depend on a third party, being Adidas or Kanye or whatever. Because truly, like the big factor on that was that Yeezy Mafia worked, and the system worked because. Yeezy in itself did not have an official channel to release information, and they didn't want to have it. But say had they created a system where they were giving information or whatever, like we would have been redundant.
Exactly.
So that's why really, I felt that
it's too much risk.
It's risk, but also I felt that for my own sort of not life ambition, but for my personality, I think that I was getting into a territory where. It was, I don't know, I think, it wasn't giving me as much satisfaction as I could have gained, from other things. And again, in all of these, I was still studying, so there was also this is taking a lot of my time. And, uni is quite like, probably every uni student can say is like, some days like highs and lows.
Exactly.
And, I think I was getting a lot into the spirit of, maybe I should just, I should decide either I focus on uni or I focus on this. And because of that, I kind of decided, okay, I'm going to try and stick to both, but I need to make sure that they trade off. So, my satisfaction is at least even more than I'm getting now. So that's why I kind of, took other venues. And then, I say, obviously, there's been a lot of different sort of tangents that I've taken from that. And I've met a lot of people that obviously have shaped my path, shaped so obviously what I do now and also, what I did back then. But I guess... that's basically was, sort of the most important bit at that time. And then, obviously there was as more people tried to do cook groups and more cook groups were born, we developed systems where, we decided to expand further and give people the opportunity to buy those shoes the same way that we were.
Yep.
So I developed this system, which was, we will basically allow people to have an easier way of buying the limited edition shoes, with this carts platform where we will basically add to the cart on the website.
Which I think you that was basically pioneered by you guys, and that's a system that we use now regularly. And until you guys had done that, I hadn't really heard about anybody actually selling carts and selling the actual opportunity to purchase a shoe. So that was really like a very pioneered thing.
I think again, even then, to be fair, I don't think we were the very first ones to do it, but we were the first ones to do it in that specific way. And more importantly, we did it in a way where, we really knew what we were doing. And, we had a very structured setup where, we had people had accounts, we had token system, there was a support system, we had obviously, we had good refund in place, we had some customer service in place.
It's a full business, wasn't it?
Exactly. It was, it was structured like a business. Whilst, what was there before was very like amateur. I mean, ours was still amatorial because really, I was a self-taught coder anyway, and everyone involved in it was a self-taught coder, everyone. So, we just literally learned ourselves because the reality is that, we saw it as, I'm not gonna hire a professional engineer to do this because professional computer engineering are not into this. And last thing I want is get professional hackers into this because they're gonna take the whole thing. They're gonna take me out of it, which obviously is what I mean. I knew that was sort of inevitable. And that kind of happened later. So and then the brand started hiring like professional hackers because really that's the only thing that you can do. To contrast, to contrast the guys. So, I think, we were doing that at the time and, we tried to keep it up as much as we could. Which we did to an extent, but as I said, I think again, even then what was really important was at the same time we were developing, sort of further ways to monetize. We were developing, further ways to structure our business. We were, the brand as well, became a huge part to which, the other guy really was the main mind behind that. And, there was a big component that was the merch. So the merch behind that was crazy. The sales was ridiculous.
Did you sell a lot of the merch? So,
the sale was selling like absolutely crazy. I think even till today, if I think, but even by today's standards of, certain brands, that sell through was incredible.
Do you have like a rough figure of how much like merch you sold?
I would say, the figure was really high, but I'd have to say because I wasn't the mind behind that. I'd rather not say, but I would say it's probably more than a lot of people think. And definitely, I would say, like, I used to walk around London, where I live, and I would literally see people wearing it.
Wow,
that must feel crazy.
I bet that was amazing.
My partner at the time, I remember we'd go out in LA, and still we'll see people wearing it, in Fairfax a lot. And then, he did a pop-up in Fairfax and that went absolutely insane. So, that was very good. And also I think it taught us a lot about how to manage, release of clothing, which now to me, for example, has come useful where, with Dropout, we do clothing. And then obviously my partner at the time, he did further clothing, on a different name. And again, he obviously gave us a lot of understanding of how it all works. Because I think, a lot of those things, maybe one may think that, you wake up and you do that, but you don't. You can, but...
It takes time and effort.
Exactly, it takes time and effort. And I think for a lot of those things, it probably looks as if, we did a lot of easy stuff, but I think nothing we did was really easy. From self-teaching how to code to, managing drops to, managing even the social media. I think it was tough. And it took a lot of effort, and it took a lot of commitment. And, and even now, personally, I'm really satisfied, of how it all worked out. But, even now, the things that we do now, that I do now, even though, I'm quite separated from, Yeezy Mafia as it was now, I think it's still a good reflection and a good sort of fruit of what came from that.
Yeah, and it was probably an amazing stepping stone for you, like you said, to learn all these things and, get yourself into the situation you are in now. And are you still part of, like, Yeezy Mafia now? Is it still, like, ongoing, running with you involved? Or?
So, it's still running and ongoing, wider than ever, to be fair. I'm not involved truly at the moment. Obviously, the connections remain. The direct line of talking and discussion remain, but truly in itself as a, as an entity and as a business, I'm not involved. As in, I don't make any money from it. I don't have any, I don't make any decision pertaining what is the branding or whatever. I think, I went past that, and I think, at some point I did have to make the decision where, where am I going to focus my resources and what's giving me what. And then really it also came to the fact that I kind of wanted to be, to me, one of the most important thing, as a lot of people really feel, is being the boss of myself.
Yeah.
And, that's where I decided that, doing something from complete scratch, which is not dependent from others, where, even the name, is not, a spin-off of others. I think that was really, what I needed. Obviously, a good chunk of what Yeezy Mafia is now is secondary to what it was, and secondary to what I was part of. But now, I think it's developed and it's matured a lot, without me. Really. So, I think I'm glad that it is the way it has been. And I said, I've got still, obviously, the connection is there, and I'm still in the sphere. Let's put it that way.
You're still in the loop, but no.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely still in the loop. Yes.
I think something that I'm personally interested in is like over the years that you did Yeezy Mafia and you did the cut group scene, like some of the highlight sneakers that like some of the massive drops like Butters, Breads, something. Like, surely you was getting like hundreds of thousands of pairs.
Yeah, was you actively like reselling during that time, or was you just more focusing on like Yeezy Mafia and
the
monetization of Yeezy
I think
Mafia?
at the time, basically, bear in mind, I kind of grow as a sneakerhead. Therefore, my main, the main thing as a sneakerhead is really you buy one shoe, you sell other shoes, or you can buy other shoes that you don't have, and that's how you grow your collection. Then you trade and so on and so forth. So really, that's basically what it was about for me for the most part. So I got to a point where I probably had hundreds of pairs in my collection. And the reality is that, buying tens and hundreds of pairs and whatever, that's what it was really, focused on. That's what it was really about. It was about, getting huge amount of pairs to flip them and get, widen your collection, get that shoe that you really wanted, get that really, really sort of rare drop from 10 years ago, the one that, you grew up wanting, but you couldn't buy, whatever, which is what, to me, that's basically what I ended up doing.
Yeah.
But, some major drops really were, the initial 350 V2s, those were major drops. Then we had, again, it's probably some of the 750s. Not the OG ones, but
like Grey Gums.
Yeah, like Grey Gums and the chocolate ones. Those ones were major drops. Then slightly later we had for me personally we had the off-white ones really. Yeah. Where things again that was Nike, and then things that were different. But even then, I think let's say that the expertise can be useful. I would put it that way. And those were really, the major ones. But then I said, for me, what really came out of those was, first of all, the knowledge of how the sneaker economy works. Yeah. And then also how, obviously fostering those communities and fostering those connections, because at the end of the day, even, as I opened up the store later, we are still a big community, even all store owners, like, I probably know all the major store owners in Europe and at least in LA and New York. And it's got to do with that time, because we were all sort of, discussing with each other and, talking with each other. So that's really what was my takeaway from that, which has got, a value that is way beyond the, the financial aspect of it.
Yeah, like the people that you can meet from sneakers are mental. Like I think the way that we know you is through basically a WhatsApp buy and sell group, which was basically like, that was almost a bit closed off as well. Like it was a bit of I don't know how I actually found myself in there, or you was in it as well, weren't you, Will? I can't remember how we actually found ourselves in there, but I think one day we just like stumbled upon it and we realized that this is full of like a lot of big people within the sneaker community, all going for big drops and whatever. But can you remember how that actually came about, that group?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a few like sort of bulk buyers, let's call them, in London, where they would buy from individuals that used to have like a good quantity of sneakers and send Middle East or East Asia, for example. And like the idea was from one of those guys to have in one place a number of individuals that could provide sort of big numbers and make it easy and have people that were legit. And I remember really I had certain drops, even 20, 30, whatever pair of sneakers that I had that gotten maybe from online releases or whatever. And that group was about finding an easy finding buyers in a very easy way. Because the other thing is this, I said it's not easy. So even finding them and dealing with say even if you have 50 pair of sneakers to flip, even dealing with 50 people is a lot of effort, is a lot of moving, a lot of logistics, and a lot of a lot of transaction it can be complicated.
Yeah, for sure.
So that basically was about making it easier. And then, more as obviously as all of us were dealing with more people, then people were inviting other people. And then, obviously the group got bigger, and it was all about, having trusted people there.
Yeah.
Cause, the reality is that when you were going to a huge marketplace, say, I don't know, eBay, whatever, you were, the risk of being scammed was huge. Because in such an unregulated industry, the risk of being scammed is absolutely insane. Yeah. Therefore, that's obviously, even nowadays, that's what, stores like mine are based on. We're based on the fact that, we make it easy for you,
Yeah, it's an authentic shoe, it's trusted by you, get it the same day.
Exactly, it's very simple, as we know, you're not just selling a product, you're selling a service, every time with it. Yeah. And the service is that ensuring, having that recognition of the legitimate business, having that recognition of a place where, you buy hassle free, like my store and many other stores have in Europe and some of the marketplaces. That's basically that's what the WhatsApp group was about. And actually, if you think about it, even the stores like mine, we actually came after those groups. I think most of the big stores, other than obviously the huge American ones, probably in fact, other than Flight Club, I even think, if I'm not wrong, Stadium Goods even opened around that time. No, so actually, even other than Flight Club, kinda everyone else came later. We literally came later because we probably all saw, how those groups were, where individuals were trading with each other, and it's about, sort of that legitimacy and knowing, sort of who you're buying from, and also, sort of, who you're selling to. Because, scammers can be in this industry, both as buyers and as sellers.
Yeah, it works both ways. Like, I remember, so if you got a new buyer or whatever, you basically post, let's just say it was Yeezy Talk Worldwide Facebook group, and it'd be like, legit check on myself, and you'd have to tag everyone in the comments to basically get a legit check on yourself.
Exactly, so literally it's like, for my store, for example, I say, their legit check is like, the tens of thousands of people that buy from us. Yeah. And same obviously, for all the other guys. So literally now that's where the industry is moved. Yeah. Whilst, the whole, because, the whole like one-to-one selling has become very different now and very difficult. And probably to an extent, the reality is that, one may argue that, the resale industry as we know it, from a few years ago has died, but probably, I think just changed. I think that it's changed. Yeah. Exactly. I think that, the one-to-one transaction have changed. And, that level of legitimacy and recognition is kind of gone down, south a lot, which means that individual, may struggle to sell them, to sell those pair of sneakers to one person as we used to do that before.
Yeah, I think totally. Sorry to interrupt you. Basically, I think the one-to-one transactions between people have totally changed due to platforms such as StockX and eBay authentication. Like, I remember when I started, I'd never sell on StockX really. Yeah. Because I knew that the price was better, basically selling on a group or forum or whatever. You just meet someone, you get cash price, and it's just easier for me. Whereas StockX was just major fees, and they never had, you'd have to pay taxes. It only shipped to America back in the day. It's changed now, but.
And even then, when Yeezys first started and stuff like that, there was no StockX and stuff like that. The only place you did have to sell was on Facebook groups and to individual people. And I remember all my first pairs of Yeezys, 1050 Grey Gums and stuff like that, they all got sold to just an individual person off a Facebook group, and that was it. That was the only place to sell them at that point.
If we got bulk sneakers, we'd only go to one buyer. They'd agree a price beforehand. Sometimes they'd give us cash beforehand to even pay for them. Obviously after a few transactions of dealing with this person, that's where the trust comes from. But there was no these platforms or no stores that you could go and cash out to.
Exactly. I mean, it was fully underground. Everyone who literally read on Kanye today, you will know the level of underground that it was. Mm-hmm. It was literally you will meet someone in real life and you will call them by their online username. It was that. But obviously, then StockX came in 2016, I believe, and obviously, they made a huge change into the industry. Yep. For some things for good, some things for bad, and then until 2018, they weren't in Europe. Really, so they opened. I remember, I think October, November 2018, because it was just after we opened. I opened Dropout, and that again, was a huge change. But even then, it actually allowed, it allowed the industry to have a lot more recognition. Because before, I think if you guys remember, it was just people like us, which we are all born as sneakerhead. Really, the occasional flipper was actually probably rarer than it is now. Because now it's so widespread, and now before it was a situation where, say, you were wearing the 750 OGs, and I would see you in the street, and I would be like, okay, I know that you know.
But nobody else would know. Like, it was just
exactly.
like
Oh, what's this odd pair of shoes? Whereas now, you see a pair of Nike Dunk Panda, like people don't really know. They don't really care. They just, they like the shoe, and actually they don't know that the reason why they like the shoe is this industry. It's that industry. So people come to my, people, for example, come to my store and they're buying a pair of shoes to just wear casually. They just paying whatever I ask for. They don't care about their whole background reason. They absolutely do not care. And that's how this has developed, which I think is very interesting because it's part of the wider fashion industry now. I think it's gone from that very underground world where we were. It's emerged into this surface, sort of environment where again, now we all participate.
These hype sneakers and whatever are now part of major fashion. Like, I'd say it was a bit more niche and whatever back in the day, but now it's just like, if you've not got a pair of Dunks, then like, what's your outfit like?
Fully, exactly, absolutely. And before it was literally like, we saw each other, like, we knew what we were about. But now, it's very mainstream.
We'll go over some of these shoes because these are insane. You'll never see any of these.
Some, I mean, I guess some you couldn't. This one probably not.
Like, you are a sneakerhead deep down. Like, as you can see, your collection is crazy.
If you don't mind me asking, like, what is the size of like your sneaker collection now? Obviously, you said
now it's smaller than it was because you get to the point where I think as especially as you're running a business and you're working, because I'm as I say, I'm working as a doctor still. There's one thing where I've seen also a lot of big entrepreneurs or a lot of even small entrepreneurs learned that time is really valuable, and the time that I was taking in deciding what to wear, deciding whatever, was too much. Therefore, I actually downsized a little bit. So now I probably have maybe 60 pairs. Okay. Which is still a lot of pairs. Still a lot of pairs. Still a lot of pairs. But it's like nothing compared to previously, and it's mostly like like emotional values type of pairs. Where for example, I can talk about this. This is basically an Air Max 97 and it's signed by Eminem. There's only 8 pair of those ones in the world.
That's
and
insane.
Every pair is a different size. And Eminem signed all of them for a charity. And basically, when I was little, I really wanted Air Max 97s, but they were quite expensive, like just the silver ones. Because in Italy, as probably every sneakerhead knows, the Air Max 97 was like the Italian shoe.
Like the silver bullet.
The silver bullet, exactly. That was like it had Italy written all over it.
That was one of the first sneakers that I ever went for, the silver bullet. I remember.
So I really wanted them, but I didn't have them. So growing up, and kind of my mates had them. So it was that it was kind of that one where like when I grow up, I'm gonna have one of those. Type thing. And Eminem was my favorite rapper. I think I was really kind of recognizing myself in a lot of his lyrics. And I remember basically Eminem went to this big festival in Italy in I think the year 2000, and they didn't let him perform. So it was a huge thing where like they literally just banned him from performing on stage. Wow. This was literally I think 2000 or 2001. So, growing up, whatever, then, I think I got to a point where I was, relatively comfortable financially. And then I knew, learning more about sneakers, I learned about this pair of Air Max 97 that was, signed by Eminem. And there was one pair in the world that was my size. I said,
it's
no.
yours.
I said, I don't care. So, basically I worked out who had it, contacted them. The pair was brand new on worn. I was like, that's it. It's got my name written all over it. So I had to fly to a different country to get it. So the funny thing, we literally met up at the airport. So, I paid for the shoe, got them, flew back, same day flight. And that's basically, that's how I got this. And now, this is obviously, it had that, no, I made it type of moment, but the, sort of bucket list tick type of moment, kind of like that. So, I mean, that's probably, one of my, favorite sneakers and one of the sort of most important for me from that perspective. Obviously, there's many others, but that's probably take the throne.
That is a crazy story. Though. Literally flying to a different country to collect your bucket list sneaker.
Yeah.
What would you say they're worth right now?
Insane.
I would say now they're worth whatever I want for them because I'm the only one that has them.
Yeah,
so
it's one of one.
Name your price.
Yeah, exactly. It's whatever, but probably we're talking tens of thousands. I would say.
Yeah, easily.
That's something that you'd never sell though.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say never. I wouldn't say never sell. I would be lying if I said never sell because circumstances may change, and then again, I think I'm a person in continuous evolution. And I wanted to do that, and I did that. So I'm very, and I also noticed, even with my business, for example, I wanted to open the store, and I opened the store. And then I wanted the store to be in a better area, and then I opened it in a better area. And now I want my brand to expand more, as a brand rather than just a store. So now I'm doing that. So I'm always about sort of what's the next challenge, which to an extent is got a big downside, because obviously you're always chasing the next thing. And there's never an arrival, because you're always in the run, you're always whatever. But at the same time, that's just where I am, and that's how I sort of get myself to become better. And selling my part of my collection probably come from that. At the moment, really, my major pieces, I have all of them. But say if tomorrow I really need whatever for financial or whatever reason. At the end of the day, I love the assets. I won't lie.
Assets.
I won't lie. Those are assets. So when I buy them, I'm also thinking.
It's money in the bank.
Literally, you're buying. You're buying gold. You're buying whatever.
Yeah.
I'm buying sneakers. I'm doing the same. And also really the reality is that I look at my collection, and probably in value, it's definitely outgrown a lot of the stock market. It's probably outgrown some of the cryptocurrencies as
right
well.
Now,
so,
sure, right now.
So it's just one of those things where I had to make my evaluation, and that's what I did. And as one very important thing for it, obviously, I mentioned several times in the past that me and a friend, created this system where basically we were evaluating how to do this. So, we were evaluating how to invest in sneakers. So, we created this automated system that basically would evaluate for us which sneakers were better to buy. So, we called it Hype Analyzer, and initially it was basically very private. And what we did was, because I had some sort of money aside, and I wanted to invest in sneakers, but there's so many sneakers by that time, and I was like, how am I gonna pick which one? Because this was about buying them on the resale market, because knowing that some of them still grow regardless. So if a sneaker retail for £200, I can buy them for 400, but it will go to 600. I'm still gonna buy for 400.
It's a good investment.
Exactly. It's just a good investment. So we gave access to this tool to other people. We gave them access to our funds, and the point was, getting them to buy with our money, and it worked. It worked very well. In fact, actually, the money with which I opened the store came from that.
Okay.
So really, it did work, and I still had a sizable chunk of my collection at that time. I had a sizable chunk of stock. Basically what we did later was kind of expanding a little bit the tool to have a public face for it, where individuals could consult what were sneakers in trend, and it actually came very useful, because we then had data for the clicks. And now Hype Analyzer Online does around, I think, 500 to 600 users a year. Which gives us a lot of clicks on the data. It gives us a lot of data on which sneakers are more hyped. And when I opened the store in 2018, basically I remember walking into Flight Club, and then walking into a number of other stores and being like, what is it that I don't like? And first thing is, I come here and I'm too overwhelmed. Because by that time I was already developing the thing where I realized that my time is really valuable, and choice takes too much time. So I was like, okay, so what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna open a store. In my store, I'm not gonna have a whole wall of sneakers top to ceiling to floor. I'm gonna pick the sneakers that the people want, and I'm only gonna show those. So we worked out what are people clicking on Hype Analyzer. So people were only clicking 50 sneakers, the top 50. After which the traffic seriously decreased. So we said that we're gonna have 50 sneakers on display, and then we had the 10. The reason why we had the 10 was because
the Off-White 10.
No, we had the 10 more sneakers, because we thought that say for example you have a sneaker that you really want to sell because you just got leftovers. You want to be able to put that without taking out the hyped sneakers. And then we added the further 8, which were in glass cases, which were gonna be very rare shoes that maybe people didn't even know, but that were where the shoes were people would take pictures of it, and it would be free promo.
It's like wow sneakers.
Exactly. So we had a total of 68 sneakers. Actually, no, we had 69 because for the way the display worked, we needed 69. We had to round it up, and that's what we did. But then, obviously, in the second store, we increased the amount because now people are clicking on a lot more sneakers. So we basically did it again.
That's interesting. So how has the trend changed from when you started Hype Analyzer to the trends now? Could you talk a little bit about that?
I think back then, it was the prices in the resale industry were higher, And there was I think it grown gradually to people seeking more and more that exclusive shoe. In particular, the Yeezy 350 V2. I think that was the shoe that kind of made started making the sneaker market as it is now. With more general public getting into it. And then sort of the most sneakers have come. The Jordan 1 had this huge revival with 100%. Tons of colorways, and that became more mainstream. And then Nike pushed out the mid. The mid, absolute genius by Nike. I think Nike is literally the company where Phil Knight is the person I look up to, and Nike is the company where I'm always like, if I could be a tenth of what they are, not even a tenth, sort of a thousandth of what they are, I'll be happy.
Very consistent on the resale, Nike.
Exactly, and they absolutely, they literally invented the resale market, and they invented what the resale market is now. And they've basically changed the trend where they've gone to the mainstream, and literally they've managed to find the perfect balance between the mainstream sort of sneakers and the limited edition sneakers, because they're doing both and they're selling out of both. It's crazy.
It's insane, it's white Air Force Ones right now.
I know.
You can't get white Air Force Ones.
You literally cannot buy Air Force Ones, exactly. And then the sneakers have come like the Nike Dunk. Now everyone wants the Nike Dunk. It's restocking every other week.
The Panda Dunk is insane.
It's
4 or 5 times a week in your local store.
It's literally restocking every other week, but people come to my store and pay more because they just want it. They've created that demand. Is insane. Now New Balance has done the same. I think New Balance on the rise is insane. What we're seeing, because maybe people actually don't realize, but they've done the collab with Leon Doré. And
I think Jack Harlow as well is really booming them.
Exactly, they've done those, and they've put those 550s onto the map. However, what really has happened is that the 550s have put the brand onto the map, but literally now everyone is buying New Balances, regardless if they're 550s or not.
Because they can't get the 550s, they just work their way down to another.
So New Balance, exactly, is really managed to create a situation where everyone just buys New Balance. Like, it doesn't matter what model it is. So literally, you've seen so many New Balances out there, and obviously it's crazy. We see it. We see that in our my store. We see that people are just buying whatever New Balance we offer, and it's a colorway that maybe people put in consignment just because they bought it by mistake. We're still selling it. Because people see New Balance, they see that it's next to the limited edition, they're buying it. So I think that's obviously it's changed, and it's caused obviously a huge shift as well in people like that have stores like me, or people that have that even have that are just private resellers or whatever, because you need personal shoppers, because you need to know all those things. If you want to make a good profit, because also the huge disadvantage and the huge problem is being left with leftover stock, and that really is what kills a business. The leftover stock. So it's all about sort of understanding what the market is, where it's going. Ideally, you want to be a little bit ahead of it, and and if you can, understanding that data.
So is it all your own stock, or do you do consignment as well?
So it's for the most part our own stock, because we still employ a system where. We are investing in sneakers, but now we're flipping them directly. We cut out the middleman. So I'm still buying the sneaker at the cheapest part of the market, and we're selling them at the higher part of the market, because we're selling them directly to the final customer. And we have generated recently, which is our latest addition. We generated this platform where, it's only in Europe, in the EU, where you can sell directly to us with a completely automated system, other than the authentication, and you basically get the highest payout online. So we pay more than any other competitor, and it's all automated because we sell at a higher price than any other competitor. And the platform automatically works out what the shoes are that we need. It looks at, we've developed and we spent as well on some very advanced analytics software, where we are basically dividing stock in class A, B, and C, which is something obviously big corporations do, and they're looking at how fast does this item sell, how many how soon do I need a restock of this item, and so on, and we kind of automated that part within the resale industry. So by doing that, we kind of we moved to a system where actually we are still able to we're even able to buy in the resale buy at resale price and sell for double the price in store comfortably. Which is something that in an industry which has got traditionally a markup which is 20% or 25% is quite good. So that's basically where it's heading for me. I think now if you want to make a business which is good and which is sustainable, you need to make sure that what you need to buy. sort
the
of a
margins
little
are
bit.
good.
Exactly, a little bit ahead, because obviously, the last thing you want, for example, is I don't know, having a shoe that is a little bit past, and then you're just stuck with it, and because stores like mine, we don't do sales, and if you're stuck with leftover stock, with a lot of leftover stock, that's you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
So you can imagine it's a big problem, and it's not many, like if you've got leftover stock, for example, it's not like you can easily shift that out. Like you're the people are like easily shifting stock to, so I can imagine you're left in a bit of a sticky situation. And has that happened to? I imagine it has happened to you, and if so, what was the reasoning behind that, and like what were the shoes that did leave you empty-handed?
I mean, thankfully, we're relatively good with it. I have to say, like, our sell-through are actually quite high. But we've taken some L's, as we say.
Yeah, part of the game.
Like the Dragon Ball shoes. I think we still got some. We still got some.
Wow.
Those are like a big.
I remember when they came out.
Having said that, I'd have to say, probably all in all, we've made a profit. Probably. But they take up space in your stock.
Yeah.
That's another big one. Because imagine if you keep having like a temper here, temper there, whatever, they end up taking a lot of stock room. And for example, we have had to take extra stock rooms, which we've made profit, but now we have to pay for an extra stock room. So really, have we really made profit on that shoe?
Yeah.
Difficult to quantify. But otherwise, I think we're pretty good. And generally speaking, sooner or later, we'll sell kind of most things. Most things. Yeah.
Very interesting. So going on from there, what was the actual like fundamental factor that like got you to start Dropout? Was it the fact of like you seeing, because obviously like from what I've gathered is you've seen the evolution of like this whole sneaker market coming, and was it just basically that you've seen it evolving in this way, and like you said with the buy and sell groups, it made it easier? Was that like your reason for starting Dropout?
I think, obviously it was a combination of reasons. First of all, doing something that had my very own signature in it. Dropout came because I was a uni at the time and I couldn't be bothered studying any further. But I didn't want to drop out. But I kind of wanted to drop out. So the store was called Dropout because of that. And, it was purposely spelled, as one word, because it was also sort of a shout out to College Dropout, which Kanye's album. And then I remember, it was kind of a little bit of a sidetrack, but when I was 16, I had quite a severe accident and I ended up in a hospital in intensive care for quite a while. And when I was going to the event where I had the accident, I was listening to Kanye. So, obviously, it brought me bad luck, but it was kind of one of those things where like,
it means a lot to you.
I'm going to make this, really mean something for me. So, that's kind of why I gave, the name to the store. And then obviously there was I can see where this is heading. I was thinking that, this market is going to become so mainstream that if I open a store now, and in Italy, there was nothing, another store was existing. My guys, my friends from Big Soup in Rome, obviously shout out to them. Absolutely, they came before me and, they were doing an absolutely amazing job. But I wanted to be in Milan, the fashion capital of the country. And I wanted to do something where, I want people, sort of in 5 years' time, I want everyone who knows about sneakers and knows about streetwear to know about my store. So, now I think we're probably close to that. I think that kind of people in, certainly in Milan and probably at least in northern Italy, if you know about streetwear, you heard about Dropout. And we want to expand further. So, where we're going further is, I don't want to open 100 Dropouts, it's not what I want, but I want people to know Dropout. So therefore, I want people to buy more online from us. I want people to buy more of Dropout branded stuff. I want people to, reflect in who we are, as in, us founders and us, sort of management of the group.
And I suppose the meaning of the whole Dropout situation.
Exactly. I think, it's very a situation where, look, it's probably easy, we all hear those motivational quotes like, you can be whatever, but really for me it is like, I wanted to do X and, I work to do X, I work easily, like, 16-hour days, 17, 18-hour days, easily. Between the hospital and Dropout and, the traveling, I almost have no days off, but, that's what I want, that's what I like. And, it shows to me that actually, I can do what I want, if I try hard enough. And, that's what I want to put, that's what I want Dropout to mean, as a brand as well. Therefore, whenever we drop our new clothing and, we see more and more people buying them, that's all it is about. And I want, this to expand even further. So now we're doing a lot of work on branding, a lot of work on there's sort of the strategic element of it, as in where the branding is shown, and where and what Dropout means and who comes in Dropout, because sort of by the nature of the business, we get people that spend a lot, we get a lot of celebrities, we get a lot of sports people, the usual stuff. And I want people to actually, sort of recognize themselves that those people are not that far removed, because I used to watch those big teams in the stadium, and now my favorite footballer from 15 years ago now comes to shop in my store. I used to when I moved to London, I used to watch Chelsea almost. Every other week I was at Stamford Bridge. Now Chelsea player are in Milan, they come to my store. So it's all about literally I did it from that perspective, and everyone can. So I want people to recognize themselves in that. So obviously it's a lot sort of metaphoric type thing, but it's also real, and it's factual, and I like that you can literally. You can go to Dropout in Milan, you see the store, and then you come home and you can, look for who's behind that, and you find it easily. I'm very easily found. My business partners are very easily found. We did a funding round at the end of last year, which went well. We closed it in like 6 days. We had a good evaluation at the end of it, which was just over £2 million. Again, started from zero, and now truly, I think that our evaluation, if we were to redo it now, is probably a lot more, because the business has expanded more. We're in a better location. We're doing a lot more money.
And how long has that been going now? Dropout.
So Dropout now we opened in September 2018. The new store opened in June 2022. And now we're going fast. I think
it's impressive, man. It really is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that what will happen is that we'll just keep expanding, and I don't know where we'll end, but certainly we got big goals type thing.
Each store location, something that I want to touch on, like that. I think, like you said, it's next to these big brands like Dolce & Gabbana, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and that also like with some of the latest collabs that these brands have done, like Adidas, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Nike. Just in the past week, it shows that the clientele is a massive crossover between the two, and obviously, like you see that in store. Exactly,
no, absolutely, definitely. I think that Dropout, both as a store and as a brand, we want to fit in, in that narrowing sort of space between luxury and streetwear. Look, the reality is that if we take this backwards, sort of fundamentally, we go to 5 years ago. Even big artists, like Skepta, definitely, or those guys can tell you that. 10 years ago, you wouldn't see people that look like me sitting at the front row of the fashion show. Now you almost only see people like me that sit at the the front row. You wouldn't see, sort of someone like Virgil Abloh being, the head of menswear for Louis Vuitton. We've seen that, and you wouldn't see their clientele becoming my clientele, but yet now we have. Therefore, it was just a natural evolution that my store has gone into what is called the Quadrilatero in Milan, which is basically I will put it like the Knightsbridge of Milan, and it's like actually the most expensive neighborhood in Italy, and I think like the second or third most expensive neighborhood by square meter in Europe. And the only reason for that is because now the clientele that shop there, they are now shopping in stores like mine. And I think that that's just going to continue and expand. But also that means that, those individuals, if I can get both the aspirational crowds, that are trying to be kind of like us, and those individuals to shop at Dropout, I can actually get them to shop Dropout. So, I think that that's basically where, we are trying to evolve and what we're trying to do. I think that, that trend is just only going to expand. And I think the big fashion houses, they've seen this. That's why they're also capitalizing on this. Because I think they've also realized that, for example, someone like me, who, look, I've got, I'm educated, I've got one university degree. I'm completing an MBA at the moment. There's a lot of other people like me that maybe, we come from a streetwear / hip hop type background, but before we just feel them feel at ease, in the big fashion houses. Now those brands, they're talking to us. Now, and what we're doing, we're talking back. So I think, that's basically what happened, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, you will now see someone with a Louis Vuitton bag and a Dropout bag
carrying
down the street where you'd never see that 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you will. And that just shows where the market's going.
Yeah, and I wonder why it's kind of gone this way. Like, do you have any theories on the evolution and how it ended up to be what it is now?
I think there's a lot of it. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of the brands wanting to associate themselves with, with the luxury and premium. That's clearly Nike, that you have on that. And then you also have, and obviously, again, also Adidas, collaboration with Chanel, those type of situations. But then also, I think the brands have realized that, they can target to a wider crowd. They can target to, if those people are paying resale money which are big money for a pair of trainers for Nike, they're gonna pay big money, for Louis Vuitton and vice versa. Yeah. Those people are buying because now Louis Vuitton and Dior, Dior with the B22. Yeah. They've done a pair of sneakers that is literally a pair of sneakers, trainers. That literally, the same person wearing Jordan 1 is wearing, B22, and I'm guilty of that. I'm that same person. 100%. And then, those brands, they've actually realized that they can raise the prices. So, Balenciaga, they've done the speedrunner, and then from a year to the other, they've raised the price. Of literally the same shoe. It's all part of a much, of a wider sphere of, those guys can spend, and, we want them to spend. It's kind of like, if you think about, the way those Hermes and bags and those watches work, the brands keep raising the retail price. Yeah. Those brands are kind of they've learned that actually they can do a bit of the same. Literally we can raise the price and actually, raise that perceived value. And the customers are coming, and the customer will just come more and more. Yeah. So I think those are the factors. Obviously, there's a lot more, and then probably a lot of those things are kind of studied, on the table, kind of like this. But that's obviously for the marketing teams of the brands to sort of work out.
Yeah, I think that crosses over to everything. Like the retail price is going up. Like what was a Yeezy back in the day, 130, and now it's like 200. And the same thing's happening across all the markets: cars, watches. Everything, the retail's going higher, and the resale market just keeps on going.
The margins are just going up as well.
Doesn't seem to end. Like, where do you see it do you see capping out? Like, do you see, let's just say, Adidas, the Yeezy market dying? Do you see that topping out?
I think, in terms of the price, obviously, to an extent, there's inflation and there's cost in supply chain and there's exchange rates and so on and so forth. But truly, as you've said, I think the increase is higher than the inflation, really. Yeah. And that's again because the brands that can see that they can erode into that resale margin a little bit. But in terms of the brand, those trends dying, I think slowly potentially, because I think we've seen how with for example restocks. Of the certain silhouettes. I think obviously I'm not sitting in the Adidas board, so I don't know why they do them. But from the resale perspective, they're basically like the end outcome is that they're negative for the resale industry, and being negative for the resale industry, one may argue that is negative for the brand perception. So truly, I will think that if the rate of restocks continues, then we do incur the risk that some of those trends will go down out eventually.
I love it.
But then again, you see that like even but then there's also the ways of doing them, like New Balance 550s, they are restocking in stores. Yeah. But they're not like they're not really announced.
They're not doing a Yeezy day, for example, are they?
Exactly, they're not Yeezy days. Like Nike used to do. Nike, if Nike gets returns, they put them in the outlets. Yeah, they're not shouting that they got returns. No. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like so it's all about how you go about them. But I think that if the brands sort of start approaching this type of situation differently, then we do incur a risk. But then again, for stores like mine, for example. The game is also about how do we deal with that type of situation? How do we forecast that? Yeah. And it's also about having sort of contingency plans. How we're gonna make sure that people still look at us as the place where they're gonna get exclusivity. They're gonna get good sneakers. They're gonna get what they want. What the people are asking for. Regardless of the premium. So I think that's sort of where the work for us is. So I think for the resale industry to completely die, I think probably that's unlikely because it's part of the marketing for the brands. Yeah. But to certain silhouettes dying, it is a possibility. Again, if those factors come through.
It's a strange looking shoe.
Yeah. So this is the Nike Yeezy's Red October. Came out in February 2015, and basically what happened is that actually 2014. Sorry. Kanye had already signed for Adidas, and so it was known that he was going to leave Nike, and this shoe was meant to release the October before. Well, in theory, so it was meant to release the October before, and it was meant to release on Foot Locker, Nike, and some other retailers. And but then for some reason, sort of, I think Nike and Kanye had some disagreement of some kind, and the shoe didn't come out. And then there's this, but it was still sort of dubbed Red October, as a nickname.
Yeah.
And then there was this very famous interview, like everyone probably saw. And Kanye is in this podcast with Sway, with this American producer, and they're talking about the Red October. And Kanye is saying how he's basically mad at Nike because he wanted the sneaker to be, in his mates' shops, and he'd promised the shoe to his mates, but Nike wasn't gonna give it to him. It was too limited, and he didn't know it was gonna come out. And then Kanye starts shouting like, "Oh, you ain't got the answers," and he's probably, and there's a big meme about it, and it's all about this shoe. And then Nike just literally randomly put like a tweet on this random February, like, in some proper afternoon. And he says like the Nike Yeezy 2 is available now. That's it. And then, after like 8 minutes, the shoe sold out. That's it. That's it. That's the history of the Yeezy 2 Red October. That's how the last Nike Yeezy, dropped, which is obviously is like just legendary, in itself. Prior to this, however, there was there's the platinum and the solar, which has the same silhouette but different color. Yeah. I actually have all three in my size. Which
do you wear all three?
This one is the only one of the three that I wore. As you can see, it's a bit cracked, but obviously, it's an old shoes or whatever. Yeah. It needs a paint, to be fair.
They're worth a fortune now, then.
Worth this one's probably this very on pair because I got the box and the box is perfect, and I got both pairs and I got all tips. Yeah. We're probably talking easily 10,000, probably 10,000 pounds.
He did do sneakers with the LV beforehand. The Dons, he did. What are they called, Dons? Or?
He did the Louis Vuitton Dons, yes, which we also have in the store. Again, even those, easily 10,000. Before those, he did the Nike. There's an Air Nike Yeezy 1, which actually I used to have, but it's the shoe that I sold when I rebought the Turtle Dove. So I don't have those anymore. Obviously, legendary shoe. I think the rumor is that there's 2,000 pairs of this. Yeah. Who knows how many dead stock? Probably not that many.
Yeah, surely not nowadays. Not nowadays.
So imagine, I bought 3 of those actually as an investment, and I sold 2 when I opened the store, and I made about double what I paid.
Wow. Do you know roughly how long you held them for?
I held them for 2 years, more or less.
It's not bad.
And now they will be worth even more, but obviously.
Yeah, can't predict things like that. And how much did you buy them for when you bought them?
I bought those ones for about 5K, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Then I bought the other ones for about, I think I bought a new pair from a guy that literally got them on the drop, had them on the Nike delivery box, and literally he had opened the box, taken a picture, never taken them out. That's what he told me anyway. Yeah. So he shipped them to me in a box, in the original Nike box that was inside another box.
Crazy.
So I actually still have that. I still have that.
Wow.
Because what I did basically was the same size, so really I changed the box.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, so so I did that, and those I paid about 4.5. Then for the solar I paid maybe 3, and for the platinum about 2. Now all of those are worth easily 10K each one of them.
Crazy.
Nice.
Then
investment.
At the same time I bought the pair of Nike Mags, which I forgot to bring, and I paid 8,000 for those. Now easily worth 25, 30.
Mythical that shit.
They re-released, didn't they, the electronic ones, like the actual electronic ones?
So yeah, I've got the ones I've got are the non-self-lacing,
the OG.
The OG ones, yes. I tried to get obviously the self-lacing, couldn't get them, whatever. But kind of doesn't really matter. I actually prefer my ones.
I feel like that's the real one. Like when they release it,
I feel like it is with
it's the OG.
It is. It is for sure.
Maybe one day I'll buy the other one. I don't know. I guess
there is one shoe that I don't know if he still got it, but the reverse shattered backwards.
Oh yes,
and that's a mad story.
So that actually is not mine. It's Andreas. It's my business partner. He's still in the store, so everyone who comes to Dropout gets to see it, and it's almost like the Mona Lisa of sneakers.
It really is, to be honest.
Is this basically is a Jordan 1, kind of like that.
Yeah.
But on the inside of the left shoe, it's got the swoosh that is reversed, and it's a factory flow, and it's perfectly reversed. It was perfectly stitched on the wrong way. So God knows how they managed to do that. But anyway,
how is that passing?
Quality control.
Yeah. How is that passing it? That's crazy.
Definitely odd.
Did he actually get that shoe himself?
So Andrea got it at Foot Locker.
Wow.
So he got it for retail, and then he went home, and obviously. he said the story also, in the Vice documentary. Basically, opened the box and he's like, wait. And actually no, in the box they come like one like that and then one the back, and they were fine. And then he picks up and he's like, I'm bringing this back. And he thinks about it and he's like, nah, maybe not. So he just kept it. And then obviously we had a lot of offers for it, and we opened up the store, and sort of we priced it as as the basically just higher to the higher offer that we had, which was 125k euros. And then Vice came.
Yeah, I've
and,
seen the headlines like 150k.
Yeah, 125. Yeah, and the legend just came from there. And now the shoe's there, and if you want it, that's the price. Otherwise, that's it. It's kind of like my Eminem shoe. Like if you want those things,
just name your price. And
literally, that's the price. But really, I do have to say that actually, looking back, I would say that the value of that shoe is probably now higher than that, because the money that is generated for the store is a lot. Now, put it this way: we did T-shirts with that shoe. Slightly modified, because we didn't want to get
legal action.
We didn't want Nike to come to us. But anyway, we did we did hundreds of T-shirts. We sold them for 70 euros each. You do the maths. We made literally tens of thousands of money just off that. And then the amount of people that he brings to the store, they all, everyone's doing the Instagram tag, everyone is doing this, everyone is doing that. So easily is a lot of.
It's now an attraction, that shoe.
Fully.
Do you think Nike actually saw that shoe and then went to do the Travis Scott's?
I mean, definitely Nike know about that shoe purely because Nike Milan knows about the store. So, whether they did that afterwards, honestly, not gonna lie.
Those did come first.
Yeah, exactly.
Not gonna lie, I don't know, but I would say
there's a good chance.
And also, more than that, Slam Jam released the Blazer, which has got a reverse shoe. And come on, Slam Jam is from Ferrara, which is a city, it's still in the northern Italy, but not in Milan. But Slam Jam, big flagship is in Milan. So
There's a good chance.
I don't know, but could be a strong coincidence.
Wander around one day and it was like, and they need little clubs coming up.
Whatever.
It's crazy how that's the chances though, that in your store you actually have that one of one pair that's done all this. It's insane. It's just it's a bit of a weird one, to be fair, how it's even managed to end up there.
Yeah, and I think we use it obviously as a marketing tool, but we are the we because at the end of the day, yes, the industry mainstream, but we don't forget who we are, to be fair. So if you obviously you guys are welcome to go to Milan as well, to the store. I think it's for every sneakerhead, it's worth looking at.
Yeah,
as well.
100%. Look them up.
And we also have we have the Louis Vuitton Don. We also have a pair of Ari sneakers, and Ari is basically the guy that did this pair of shoe that is similar to an Air Force. But it's green, and also that one actually got this swoosh reversed. Okay. But the way he did that was actually to troll Nike, and then he did the box, which was it looks like a packet of cigarettes. So it opens from the top like a packet of cigarettes. Wow. And the shoe is called Ari Mental. And he said, and where it says Air in the Air Force, he said Ari, so A-R-I, kind of as a troll. And basically, he got sued by Nike. And he got sued by Mental.
Wow, double whammy.
So he can't own a pair of those shoes, but as per the sentence. Yeah. So it's quite jokes, and we have a pair that is signed by him. So
have you seen the pair that Cowan Lamb did?
Which one?
Have you seen the pair that Cowan Lamb did? He basically took the tick off and he put it was basically like a dick tick. It was like, I'll show you the picture after this.
Oh,
but
actually,
it was like a custom. He's pretty mad.
In
that he went pretty viral for that, but that was a funny little.
Exactly. Obviously, at the end of the day, no brand really liked being played with their logo, do they? So
no, for sure. It's an easy legal action for them, innit?
Exactly. It's about the trade-off about how.
It's not really going to impact them like two sneakers, but
it's about what value are you going to get from doing that? That's kind of what you need to think about, when you're doing those actions. And I guess from Ari, I don't really know what he does now, to be fair, even though I did speak with him afterwards. But I guess it's just about, when you're doing this, you got to know that at the end of the day, look, the reason why I'm here is mostly because of Nike, to be honest. Otherwise probably Dropout wouldn't exist. So everything I do, I also need to be, respectful and careful, of their brand. I know Nike for me is a brand that I really looked up to. I really look up to. So
yeah. This is one that I want to speak about. This is a pretty crazy sneaker, especially nowadays. This is mental.
I had the pleasure of taking part in a lot of Nike workshops. I had quite a few connects, so actually I was a guest for some of them. And I got in total 3 pair of off-white signed by Virgil. So he signed me this one, wrote Virgil. I don't know if you can see. And it's done from my name on it in quotes. Then I've got a pair of Jordan 1s as well, Chicago, which I'm wearing today actually, where I wrote my name. And actually that was kind of, it was quite cool because it was after a workshop and like, I didn't want to bother him, like, because he was just walking around the workshop and stuff. It was very nice. And then I was like, okay, look, I'm going to do it when he comes out. And then this friend of mine I was with, she knew the security guard of the event. So basically she said, oh, like, can you tell us when he's coming out? So he told us that, look, he's going to be coming out about this time. So I kind of waited outside. And then my friend, another friend of mine that was there, took a video.
I was just going to say, I remember the video you sending it to WhatsApp and it's going into a car or something, into.
And I was also taking a video at the same time because, it was kind of like...
It's like your authenticity.
It was kind of a little bit set up. So, it was... then Virgil comes out with Ian Connor. And he's going into this, into this blacked out like a Range Rover, and I'm there with the shoe, and I'm like, yo, can you sign it? He's like, yeah, and so he signs it, and I got the video of me walking, and Virgil walking, and I got my video of him signing it,
That's insane.
multiple angles, and then a few months later in Milan, there was this event where a friend of mine, shout out to him, again got me an invite, and it was like 10 people, and Virgil doing this talk. And I think it was also about the future of streetwear, actually. And I knew that it was a closed doors event, so I brought another pair of Jordan 1s, and he signed it right in Dropout. So that's now displayed in the store. Obviously, that's really, it's not for sale, to be fair. It's just like this one. Obviously, as I say, I don't say sort of never say never, because say, if tomorrow I really need the money, I would be silly to say I'm gonna die with it. But I don't want to sell them. That's why, that's sort of, the story with that. It came from one of those events, just signed it for me. But probably actually, I guess the coolest story, if I'm with it, it's probably this one. This is the not for resale Jordan 1. Now, those ones actually did come out as a kind of, not general release, but more, less limited version in the red one.
A lot of outlets got them.
In the red ones. But those ones, basically, I was in LA. And those ones were only coming out on LA during ComplexCon. Only, I think, in 2 stores. One was the one Nike store, and one was, I think, Dover Street Market, if I'm not wrong. And I really wanted that because, it says not for resale, which is kind of the joke. Exactly. And then, this one says no, and the other one says photos, and then it says please, and the other one says crease, because, how they, obviously mine is creased. So, how... everyone is like kind of focused on not creasing their kicks. I wear my kicks mostly. And, this one says me and the other one says where. And then inside it says, sorry, this pair is not numbered. I don't know if you can see. So, it's all kind of joke. So, I really like the concept, so I bought them. And, I actually bought them for resale. And, the guy that basically, sort of gave me the pair, he gave me, I think, like 3 pairs for like $800 each. And then now, you can buy them for less than $5,000.
That's not a cheap shit.
And they literally only came out then.
That's insane.
So even then, I thought that I think this is gonna be a good investment. So I bought one to wear. It was kind of one to rock, one to stock. One to flip.
As you do.
But I flipped 2, so I've only got this one now. But
it's an amazing story. It's crazy. So I don't even know what I was gonna say then. To be fair,
I think we need to wrap up, don't we? How much is left in that? We got how much? Ah, sweet then.
I think we should talk about this one, to be fair. That's what I was going to say. So these ones, and these was actually these was a relatively easy cop, to be fair, wasn't they? So if you could tell us a little bit about the story behind these, and did you pay resale for these? Or?
Well, this easy. I'm not gonna say easy. So those ones actually I got multiple pairs. Now someone's gonna hate me for this, but anyway. So I got so those ones basically collab between Adidas, Chanel, and Pharrell. So triple collab. And again, another example of luxury and streetwear meeting. Pharrell had already done a number of limited edition NMDUs, as those are called. And Colette was a big store in the streetwear scene, closing. I think Sarah Colette decided to close the store, and our family, whatever, I don't know why. Nevertheless, they did some charity event, and did a charity raffle where 1,000 of those pairs will be raffled and given to and given to whoever the winners were for the retail price of 1,000 euros, and the money go to charity as said. So I won the raffle for a start. So I got a pair via that. Then someone actually owed me a favor, and so they gave me a pair. From that sector. And then someone else won the raffle and actually basically kind of cooled them from the money. So I gave them the money, gave them very little on top. So I had 3 pairs on the drop. Then when we opened the store, someone texted us saying, I've got a pair of those Pharrell shoes, and he'd also won the raffle, but he didn't know what to do with them. So, because they weren't his size. Yeah. So he gave them to us for 2,000 euros. Now, those are shoes that at the beginning were flipping for like 10 grand. And then later for like 4 or 5, now maybe for like 3 4. So, we bought the pair from him. I flipped the other ones. And now, now I've got this one at home, and then, the other one is actually still in the store. We have it for a sort of very high price, but like, there's not much interest to say. So they're not really easy to flip, but, it's good image because, people, because also, not this one, but the other one says, I can't remember if he says Chanel, it's got the Chanel logo.
I think it does say Chanel.
So, I think, it says Chanel actually, So, like people say, oh, Chanel, what is that? So, it's another one where, people sort of make content with it.
I think that's one of the first high brand
collabs.
Collabs for sure. Especially Chanel, you never see.
No, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it was a rarity at that time. It was a rarity.
Yeah.
But I think I might say something stupid, but I think that there was already a Louis Vuitton Nike collab that was existing. I think so. It wasn't the first, but it was something unusual for sure.
And it was one of the most notable drops I remember. I remember hearing about it because that's when I just got into reselling, and I was like, they're buying them for 1,000, they're going for 7 grand. And I was like, that's insane. And that's like the times when it can get you hooked. And it's like with like Jordans and Dior. Like when you hear about them stories where you got the chance to like get a shoe that's worth so much, even if you don't resell it, it's inspiring, and it's an amazing shoe, and I'm very good that we missed out on it.
I remember the drop was just like, we was planning like, it'd be worth it to go over, like it's easy worth it, like we just get a flight to Paris if we win, but obviously none of us won.
I mean, I got mates that took the Eurostar to take it. I mean, that's what I did, to be fair. I came and went in a day, that's one thing that I'm very grateful, from the sneaker and streetwear scene. It allowed me to travel a lot, to meet a lot of cool people. I've been to LA, to New York a lot. I've been to Paris. I've been to a lot of events. I live between London and Milan, to be fair. So and again, it's all because of this. So other than the money aspect, I think there's a lot. I think
it's more than that.
For me, at least, it really sort of gave me a story to tell. Which I think is quite cool. I think. Say, if tomorrow everything ends, I will have something. I will have good memories. And I will have a good network, and some mates that I've done, outside of the business industry as well. So, that's what I enjoy about this.
But anyway, I can't see it all coming to an end, to be honest. It seems like it's just growing and growing. So
no, exactly. But I put it like say for me personally, for whatever reason, but again, I don't think so. But
exactly.
In fact, I think actually. Possibility is, say, if I was, again, obviously I plan still to continue my, sort of regular doctor's job, but if I was to take a break from that, I think I would maybe be more likely than actually to take a break from the streetwear scene, because I think, I find it, obviously medicine is incredibly fascinating, and even there, I get to deal with different people every day and so on, but, this is, is even, for some extent more fascinating. So, really, I think I got this double privilege, because, going to medical school and then working as a doctor is a huge privilege for sure. But then, doing this is also a big privilege. So, I think that I wouldn't say, I don't really like the word lucky, because I think that, I worked really to do what I do. But, I think I'm certainly, in a good position, I guess.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Amazing. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think your story's been amazing. Like, I'm so glad to get you on. Like, this is one podcast that I did really want to do. Like, Yeezy Mafia was definitely a part of something that got me into the sneaker scene and kept me in the sneaker scene. I'm sure you boys totally agree.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely be over to Milan to see Dropout store. We'll definitely come over for a little vlog.
So, it's been amazing.
Well, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.